I still remember the night the sky turned red over Somerville. We thought it was lightning, some kind of storm, but the air was too still. The trees didn't move. Then came the sound, like metal scraping across the stars. And in the silence that followed, a voice whispered in our minds, "We mean you no harm." That was the beginning, but not the end, because what Somerville witnessed that night was not human. In 1973, a patient at the Somerville Mental Institution was found standing completely still in the hallway at 3:33 a.m., eyes wide open, bloodshot, pupils unresponsive. She hadn't moved for 3 days. When doctors approached, she whispered one thing. They came through the mirror. There were no mirrors in her room, just a broken piece of reflective glass hidden under her bed. In 2011, construction crews in Somerville discovered a bricked-up tunnel beneath Elm Street. There was no record of it. When they broke through, they found stairs leading down into blackness. Inside, hundreds of handprints, child-sized. None matched any local missing person reports. But the worst part? The tunnel was sealed again. The next morning, it was gone. Even the hole in the ground had vanished. A radio DJ in Somerville claimed he received live transmissions on an unused frequency, 107.8 FM. It was always the same girl's voice. She spoke calmly. "Please, don't look behind the curtain. He's waiting." There was no transmitter registered on that frequency. No trace of any signal. But the DJ disappeared after the final broadcast. All that was found was a melted microphone, still warm. In a Somerville antique shop, there's a painting no one will buy. It's a portrait of a faceless family. But every winter, around 2:13 a.m., the canvas begins to vibrate. Not visually, audibly. A low hum, like a heartbeat through ice. And in the morning, one face is always slightly more defined, like it's remembering you. Locals sometimes report hearing a sound no phone can record. It's like a child humming, but deeper, slower, not human. It happens when you're completely alone, usually around 4 a.m. If you acknowledge it, the humming stops. Then your reflection keeps humming back. In 1994, during the Somerville blackout, residents reported TV screens turning on without power. Each showed a forest and a pale figure, motionless. Over time, the figure moved closer to the screen, but no one remembers how it ended, because those who watched said the final frame was them, staring at the screen. From inside, they said the red sky was a weather anomaly. They said the voice we heard was mass hysteria, but I still remember what it said. Not in words, in feeling. "We mean you no harm." And yet, we've never felt safe since. What visited Somerville never really left. Maybe it never wanted to harm us. Maybe it just wanted us to listen. But to what? And now I ask you, if something whispered, "We mean you no harm," into your dreams tonight, would you believe it? Or would you start locking every door? The night Somerville changed forever. The air was thick, almost solid, like we were breathing underwater. We heard the voice before we saw anything. A whisper vibrating inside our skulls. "We mean you no harm," it said, but harm had already arrived. It wore no face, and it walked without sound. In 1972, dozens of residents reported seeing floating, fiery spheres hovering above Somerville's fields. The lights moved in impossible patterns, spirals, sharp right angles, and sudden drops. When authorities investigated, the fields were found scorched, but no fire had touched the grass. Witnesses still claim to hear low, mechanical humming in the fields at night. No scientific explanation has ever been found. Maybe the lights were never meant to be seen by us. In the 1980s, a boy was found wandering the forest near Baguio City, Philippines, untouched, unharmed, and eerily silent. Locals said he could hear what you were about to say before you spoke. He disappeared one rainy evening, leaving behind only small, barefoot prints that glowed faintly under the lightning. Some say, during heavy storms, you can still see his footprints glowing along the mountain trails. But if you follow them, you might never come back. Deep in the Nevada desert, hunters discovered a perfect metal door bolted into the side of a cliff. No handle, no seams. When they tried to open it, the air around them grew ice cold and whispers flooded their heads. Scientists later dismissed it as pareidolia, but strangely, none of their recordings survived the trip back. The door is still out there, waiting for someone desperate enough to knock. Everyone knows Aokigahara Forest is haunted, but few talk about the mist that thinks. Witnesses describe a white mist that moves against the wind and whispers your worst memories as you walk through it. Survivors often flee the forest screaming. Some return, with their memories scrambled, unable to remember their own names. Maybe the mist doesn't want you to leave at all. In a remote village near the Belizean rainforest, locals tell of a dancer who appears only at funerals. A young girl in white, spinning and spinning, her eyes black as a moonless night. Those who try to touch her are said to fall into comas, dreaming endlessly of fire and ash. Doctors have no medical explanation for the victims, and if you dream of her dancing, you might already be trapped. Beneath the ruins of Centralia, Pennsylvania, the earth still burns from a coal fire that started decades ago. But some claim to have heard laughter coming from the underground tunnels. Not human laughter, something distorted, metallic, and cold. The few visitors brave enough to explore often report vivid hallucinations and missing time. Maybe it's not just fire, but something much older, waking up below. Maybe Somerville was just the beginning. Maybe the whispers we hear late at night, the ones that tell us we mean you no harm, are simply lying. Because sometimes the worst monsters are the ones that smile as they approach. So tonight, when you hear a voice you can't explain, will you listen or will you run?